So there's multiple situations where a home seller could get multiple offers, meaning you get, multiple people that write an offer to purchase a home.
Right.
And so as a home seller, how does that work? How do you deal with that?
Well, that's a good question that I'm so happy I get to answer.
Welcome to Albuquerque Real Estate Talk, episode 552. It is Tego and Tracy Venturi, Venturi Group Real Broker here in Albuquerque every week talking about what's going on with real estate in New Mexico and really around the country. We've got a couple stories that relate to things happening around the country because, real estate is local, but there's also stuff that definitely ties into what's going on, like mortgage rates. We're going to talk about that, right, Tracy?
We do pretty much every week.
Yes. Well, it's a big week on mortgage rates, so we definitely have to hit on that. Tracy, we're going to talk about neighborhoods around the Balloon Fiesta Park since Balloon Fiesta is coming up very, very quickly.
Yep. Feels like fall, doesn't it? You think about the weather lately where it's been hot during the day and kind of cold at night down next to the river where our office is at. It's been hovering around 50 in the morning. So fall is here, even if it's not technically here. And that makes me think of balloons.
It's that time of year for sure. No, I mean, it's interesting how every year it seems like it's warm, and then suddenly Balloon Fiesta rolls around and it's cold.
Yeah.
Because we need it to be cold in the morning for Fiesta. So
We do.
pretty
Right.
excited about Balloon Fiesta. We've been doing a thing on our socials, all our different socials, counting down to the Balloon Fiesta every single year. Sam's been putting together some historic photos from each year, little snippet about each year, and then using AI to animate those and turn them into little videos for
Yeah,
each
it's been
year.
fun. Sam's off camera here, but he's doing a great job with that. It's interesting. I look forward to it every day.
Yeah.
Plus, of
Yeah.
course, you've got all of the posters on our walls here in our office. So if you're interested, I bet you even have some duplicates like hidden away. If somebody's missing a year in their collection, you might have
I
one.
don't know if I'm willing to give up any. No, I do have we have the full collection here in our office from 1979 was the first official balloon poster year. And I just went and picked up the 2025
Yep.
prints and
A lot of the
have
ones
those up
we
now. Yeah.
a lot of the ones we have are signed by the artist.
Yep.
And but I know you have some duplicates. If somebody's missing a year, they could probably twist your arm. So
Anyway,
Tego,
yeah. So if you want to come check out the full Balloon Fiesta poster collection or yeah, it's not posters. I guess they're artwork. They're prints. We're at 1119 Alameda Northwest, just down from the Balloon Fiesta, right near Rio Grande.
Yep. So Tego, we had someone reach out and mention the whole 3D printed homes story. It's not new, 3D printed homes. We've seen that before. As a matter of fact, I think in Corrales, a builder did a 3D printed home sometime in the last year.
Yeah, so Realtor.com put something on their Instagram, showing it, and it's saying that, 3D printed Texas neighborhood offers homes in the 200s, with the city of Houston providing up to $125K in down payment assistance. So that's pretty interesting.
Yep.
$125K in down payment assistance.
Those 80 energy efficient homes, they'll each be at least 2 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. We went to the builder's website to try to find out more. Not a lot of information, but it looks like the houses are a little bigger and a little smaller. They have some variety.
Yeah, they do. It looks like, they have some small homes around 1,000 square feet. So they've got some homes, they say, under 250,000. The 3D printing thing is interesting, though. If you haven't heard of it, it's basically taking concrete and extruding it onto your slab and basically building your walls for the house.
Yeah.
A lot of times people will think, oh, that's our solution for housing affordability. Well, the walls of a house are such a small piece. I mean, it's a very important piece of an entire house package, but I think the last time if I recall, it's around 15% of the total cost of the home are just the walls.
As in the framing.
As in framing, right? It's everything else too. And, as we know, just a building site ready to build on is about $100,000 in the Albuquerque area now.
Yep.
So
anyway, that's out there.
Yeah.
Tego, tell us about Albuquerque area home values. I'm sure you've got the latest.
values. Yes, I just posted this the other day, and every month Zillow puts out what they call their Zillow Home Value Index, the And what they do is they track every home in the country and they put a value on every home.
Not just homes for sale.
Not just homes for
Every
sale.
home.
Yep, known as the Zestimate. Most of us are familiar with that. And sometimes the Zestimate can be really off, right? There's that joke in our industry. It's called Zillow can't smell the cat, right? So they put an algorithm and they figure out what home values are, but every home is unique, and there could be something that's up with the house that the algorithm can't take into account when putting a value on it.
Overall, it probably levels out. So what is the stat?
Yeah, you're exactly right. And that's just it. As aggregate, it's a good thing. So Bernalillo County, $242,000 is the what they call the value of a typical home in Bernalillo County. Sandoval County, 360, almost basically 370,000. So Sandoval County is more expensive than Bernalillo County. And then we have Valencia County south, and that's 309,000, so less expensive. The thing that was interesting on this, when you look at the year-over-year change, Bernalillo County 2% from a year ago up, Sandoval County 1.7, so a little bit less, and Valencia County up 2.4%. So the lower price area, Valencia County, moved up higher than the highest priced county, Sandoval County, which is not surprising based on the fact that, yes, affordability is a challenge. So seen more movement in Valencia County.
Yep. A lot of building going on in Valencia County too, that
sure.
probably is helping the prices stay a little bit better.
Yeah.
So Tego, you were telling me the other day about values versus equity in homes, like the liability versus value.
Guess what? I've got a chart for that.
Oh, of course you do.
So if you're watching online, you can see this, but I'll tell you what.
Dollar value. That's right. It was dollar value in trillions you were telling me about. And my eyes were like, trillions?
Yeah.
Tell me what you're talking about.
So U.S. homeowners are sitting on a record in real estate wealth. That's kind of the headline. And total owner-occupied property values hit $49.3 trillion in the second quarter of 2025. That's up 2.7% from quarter one and up 1% from a year ago.
So what does that really mean?
And of course, that 1% is equal to about what overall home prices have appreciated in the entire country. Yeah.
So that means people are sitting on 36 trillion in equity that they don't have a loan on for their property.
Correct, because it's 49 trillion in value and another 13 trillion in debt.
What they owe.
Which so the end of it is there's about 36 trillion in equity is what people are sitting on in homes in the United States.
So when you tell me this,
and that's an all-time high.
All-time high. So when you tell me this, the first thing I think of is people who feel like the economy's going downhill and people are going to be losing homes to foreclosure or people are in distress. But this is telling me that the amount of loans on homes is very low compared to people's
You just teed up my next chart.
I haven't even seen this chart.
So my next chart is percentage of owner-occupied homes. It says units, owner-occupied units without a mortgage, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. It reached an all-time high of 40.3% in the United States. That means
that's a 2024 stat.
Again, this is owner-occupied homes. So these are people that live in their homes. 40% of them have no mortgage.
Wow.
So that's obviously why the last thing we were talking about, the amount of equity that's out there is so high, is because a lot of people have no mortgage.
Right.
And actually in the Albuquerque area, it's closer to 41% of people have no mortgage. So somebody asked me and let me see how I answered it, because I thought it was a good answer. And so they asked me, it's like, well, they said, well, does that mean that 41% of people are unmotivated to sell? And I answered it this way. I said, it's not that they're unmotivated, it's that they're not in distress. Owners without a mortgage can afford to wait, and into today's high switching costs, which has to do with, every time you move, there's a value associated with that. They're not going to sell unless their lifestyle changes.
But why would they be unmotivated? Because if they own their house outright, no loan, and they want to move, they probably have the cash to buy outright and they don't have to get a loan at today's mortgage.
That's a fair point.
It's not like they're
No.
giving up a 2.85% mortgage, right? They're giving up being able to choose where they want to live
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
buy again. And maybe they want to take out a small mortgage because maybe they're moving up to a higher price point, but that's a choice.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, for
So
sure.
it's a good thing.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, the takeaway is that U.S. homeowners, Albuquerque, New Mexico homeowners have the best balance sheets like ever. There's no, let me rephrase it. There's very, 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 very little distress that are going to force people to have to sell their home and walk away from it.
Can we go back to where you said that was a really good point, Tracy?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Let's
Yeah.
highlight
Let's
that.
highlight
Let's
that.
underline that. Be sure to mark that, Sam, so we can make sure that flashes when we get to that part of the video. Yeah.
I like it when you say I'm right.
I
Okay.
like it when you say I'm right too.
So let's talk about what we were going to start the show with, which is multiple offers.
Yeah.
And being a home seller, how do multiple offers work, right?
Let me ask it this way. So you're a home seller and you got your home on the market, and it's interesting. Sometimes a home will be on the market for a while and then suddenly multiple offers will come in the same day,
Yep.
right? Even if it's been on the market for 3 weeks or whatever it is.
And sometimes it's because it's a great realtor who is making sure that all the brokers who have shown the house know that we now have an offer in case their buyer was on the fence and thinking about it. That way we can get them in.
Right.
But
right.
go ahead.
So there's multiple situations where a home seller could get multiple offers, meaning you get, multiple people that write an offer to purchase a home.
Right.
And so as a home seller, how does that work? How do you deal with that?
Well, that's a good question that I'm so happy I get to answer, because as a real estate professional, we deal with this and we have lots of options of how to deal with it, right? We actually had it come up this past weekend. We put a home on the market on Friday. We were off the market by Sunday. We had 2 offers on Saturday. And the realtor, who is Corey on our team, worked great with both the clients, going, okay, both potential
offers.
buyers,
Yeah.
working through their realtors and letting them know, hey, thank you. We've got your offer. We also have another offer. We're going to be talking with the seller later today. Is there anything you want to tell me about it? Or, it just getting in touch with them and communicating with the realtors, letting them know they're in a multiple offer situation. Sometimes they tell the buyer broker tells their client, hey, and they want to increase their offer a little bit. They might want to sweeten it a little bit to make sure theirs gets considered. But in general, the seller can reply to both offers and say, hey, on this form, we have 2 offers. Please submit your highest and best by X time. Or the seller can choose to work with just one of them and see if we can come together on it. Usually as the realtor, we guide the seller to do that fairly quickly so the other buyer doesn't go away while we're trying to get it to be the right offer. And sometimes it's obvious one offer is great and the seller's ready to accept it and move on.
Yeah, so they have the option to accept one. They have the option to counter one or counter both.
Right.
Or, make a counter offer and say, yes, I'd like to work with you. Or they can just, like you said, they could counter both.
Or accept one.
Or they could say, no, I prefer to work with this one because they're a cash buyer, for example, whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
They're an all-cash buyer.
Sometimes it's really clear.
But maybe the price isn't what the seller wants. So they can negotiate with that one.
Right. So lots of options. And as realtors, we guide our sellers through it. We've done this many times and we give them the options. It's usually really obvious which direction we should go. And we help guide that and facilitate that happening. Now, the other side of that is when you're a buyer
And
you're the buyer in a multiple offer situation. You finally found the home you love and you find out there's already an offer on it or there's about to be another offer on it. So that's where, as the realtor, we're going to guide you on, how bad do you want the house and what's important to the seller, and where we use our negotiating skills to really have good communication with the listing broker to find out what's important to the seller because it's not always price. Sometimes it's timing, like when do they want to close? Do they need a little bit of lease back after closing to sweeten the deal and make it easier for them to move? Or, all those things that we can find out that we can make the offer better for the seller, but still work for the buyer and have them be selected.
We did a show on that a few weeks ago, all about, negotiation tactics for home buyers.
Right.
And that's part of it,
Yeah.
especially if you're in a multiple offer situation.
Yep.
For sure.
So
one last piece of that, if I'm a seller and I accept an offer and then I get another offer, then what do I do? What can I do?
Well, that's a good question, Tego. So once you're under contract, you're under contract. However, you can consider another offer to be a backup offer, and you can negotiate that on the side and say, we cannot accept the offer, but we can counter. We can say, this is what would work for us. And if the first buyer goes away, we would accept this. And you are under contract immediately if the first buyer goes away.
Yeah. So there is a way to accept a backup offer.
Right.
It's not binding. Well,
it is binding.
It is binding if the other deal falls through.
Right. But if you decide as the backup offer that you want to now buy a different house, you actually have to terminate the contract. It's not, I rescind my offer. It's an accepted contract so that house doesn't go back on market and allow other people to now try to get that house.
I think
it's complicated.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. The takeaway there is if you are working in a backup offer situation as a buyer or a seller, make sure you understand all the details there because they do matter a lot with the backup offers and the broker, has to understand the process and how that works.
Totally.
Balloon Fiesta, Tracy. Let's talk about Balloon Fiesta.
Okay. I don't have any stats to share.
Okay.
I just wanted to talk about all the different areas of town where we see balloons and, one of the first ones that comes to my mind is the Wildflower neighborhood. And that's the neighborhood that's directly east of the balloon field off of Alameda between San Mateo North and the balloon park. And those are a nice ranch style home neighborhood. And I happen to know some friends who have a short-term rental. They just started up and it's a fully furnished home that they rent out. And so it's perfect for people coming to Balloon Fiesta because you can literally walk to the International Balloon Fiesta field from the house. And there's a couple short-term rentals in there. So obviously, think about what it's like to live there, Tego, during the mornings or in the afternoons when there's balloon activities going on.
Yeah.
We think about Alameda where our office is, and we're kind of a ways, but we still feel the impact of the traffic from the Balloon Fiesta for about 9 days, right? But boy, the people in Wildflower have to be very patient. But there's also other areas, right? We all know the balloons can fly in any direction depending on where the wind is, right?
Well, I think about Vista del Norte.
That was on my list.
Off of Osuna.
Yeah.
So kind of between Osuna and I guess Paseo del Norte.
Yeah.
And it follows the irrigation or the big drainage ditch through the city. And
right.
Yeah, I mean, there's even that park there where they
land
there, right? Yeah.
A lot of them land at Vista del Norte Park, which, on the weekends has a lot of soccer games and things going on. Other neighborhoods, Tego. So the balloon field used to be very close to there, and they moved it many years ago. I don't know when they moved it, but it'll probably be one of the stats that Sam tells us about when they moved the field. But
it was by General Mills, right? It used to be, I think. Okay,
it was closer to Paseo for sure.
Yeah.
So think about when the wind, generally we see them come over the river and go over to Corrales and up into Rio Rancho. I think about the wildlife or the animals, a lot of the horses that get spooked when the burner turns on when you go over Corrales, especially if they've just done what's it called, dash, the dash in the river, where they...
Splash and dash.
Splash and dash. I was going to call it dine and dash, but that's not it.
Yeah. Splash and dash.
Splash and dash. Don't know anything about dine and dash. Splash and dash. They've already gotten really low, and then they're using the burner to go up again. And there's a lot of horses in the area that get spooked by it, and we've seen that be really awful sometimes, where a horse will run into their fence or something, being freaked out. But a lot of balloons that go that way. So we've seen a lot of them land in Corrales and then out to Rio Rancho. The thing that most of us here in Albuquerque know is there's a lot of areas where it's prohibited to land. So like you can't go northeast from the field or east and land on the reservation, right? Sandia Pueblo or Santa Ana, it's pretty much off limits. Plus there's other areas. So they give a map to all the pilots, but sometimes they might have to land somewhere where it's really hard to get your vehicle there and fold up your
Yeah.
balloon
Yeah.
and all of that. But we've seen balloons go every direction, south,
Well,
west, north, east.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the cool things is like we think about our friends that live on the bluff on the west side, looking over
Near
the
St.
river.
Pius.
Yeah, and so they just a lot of them come south down the river
Yep.
and have great. So, but that's the cool thing, from pretty much anywhere in Albuquerque, you're going to see some balloons
Yeah.
over
And
over the Fiesta.
for sure.
Yeah,
And they do the school, usually the Thursday before Balloon Fiesta or Friday. Or
it's the Friday. Yeah, it's the Friday.
They do I don't know what they call it, balloons at the schools, right? And they bring balloons and let them tether so the kids can get up close, which is great because not everybody makes it to the field.
No,
But
no.
always a great event. And we get a lot of people in town who are thinking about homes and relocating. We've had people throughout the years, Tego, who have been to the Balloon Fiesta, and Albuquerque and Santa Fe make a impression on them. And they don't usually come and decide on the spot, but
Well, I
it's
want to caution people because I know over the years, and we've been doing this a long time, a lot of people think, oh, there'll be all those people in town to look at my home that's for sale, but they don't come to look at homes necessarily. Yes, there's a lot more people in town. It's by far our biggest attraction, bringing people from elsewhere. But, they used to do the parade of homes during the Fiesta. Are they still doing that? I don't
I
even
don't know if
remember
there's two this
because
year
I
or
don't
not.
I don't think a lot of
I think
it's
people are
not as you don't get like any extra foot traffic from people looking at homes in our experience.
totally. Open houses have typically been poorly attended during Balloon Fiesta. My thought on that is we get people from all over New Mexico, of course, who come to Albuquerque for Balloon Fiesta, not just from overseas or
Oh, of
from all
course,
over
yeah,
the
yeah.
United States. A lot of people from in the state come. Back when I was in Portales for 5 years going to school, every year there would be a group of us getting in a car and coming up to Albuquerque for the Balloon Fiesta. But what we believe is people get up at 4 a.m., they sit in traffic, they wait around for the balloons, they have their coffee and their breakfast burrito or whatever, they look at the exhibits, the balloons go up, they have it, and then they're tired, right?
Yeah.
It's like maybe they go to the mall, but they're tired. I think a lot of people take naps,
Yeah.
go to the arts and crafts fair, things that are going on.
Yeah.
But we don't have a lot of people touring homes.
I want to talk about something else.
Okay.
I want to talk about mortgage interest rates.
Oh, yes. Of
'Cause
course we
it's
need to.
kind of a big deal in the sense that pull up the chart, Sam. There we go. So if you're on the screen here, what you're looking at is a chart of 30-year fixed rate mortgage from the beginning of the year, January 1st, through to basically the day we're recording this. As of today, mortgage rates are at 6.13.
Wow.
That is the lowest we've seen it basically equals what we saw last October, or actually last September, exactly this time of year. But for the year, it's by far the lowest we've seen. And it's 1% lower than starting of the year in January. But to put that in perspective, on a 1%, so we went from 7.15, let's say, to 6.15, 1% lower. On a $350,000 mortgage, that's about $230 a month difference in your mortgage payment. That's significant.
That's significant. So we talked about this. You probably weren't here when Lisa and I talked about refinancing, but if your mortgage rate is a percentage point above where we're at right now, you might want to think about refinancing if you're going to stay in your home for a few years. And if you think we've kind of hit where we're going to be for a while, you might want to start talking to a lender.
I did listen to you and Lisa. I told you it was very good. You guys did a great job.
Lisa and I had fun talking real estate for sure.
Yeah.
Just bantering. We didn't do a lot of stats. Sorry, you gave me the stats to talk about.
You talked some stats because I gave them. Yeah, you gave
Did
them.
I?
You did. You did
Okay.
some stats. You did some stats. Yep, for sure. So yeah, we're excited about Balloon Fiesta just around the corner. Again, check us out on our socials, both on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube. The Venturi team or Venturi Group. Just search. You'll find us in Albuquerque, and you can
Like,
check out
follow, subscribe.
follow, subscribe.
I'm
Yes,
getting
all of
better
the
at
above.
that.
Yeah, you're doing good.
If you want to call us, best way is just call our Realtor on Duty line, which is 505-448-8888. And most of the time, someone's going to pick up that phone. And if not, we look forward to hearing from you anyway, from email or leave us a message. But pretty much that phone is, if it's daytime or evening, we're going to pick it up.
Thanks for watching and have a great early fall.
That's right. Take care.